1, 2, 3. We're live. I think this is just going to be my stock standard introduction to going live on LinkedIn, sounding like Dracula or Frankenstein's father. I don't know. It always sounds very kooky, and I don't know. Maybe that is maybe a little bit of me. Anyway, if you are just joining us today and you don't even know who me is, I am Aileen Day. I am the owner of Value Driven Brand and Meraki Business Solutions, both businesses in the biz to help people understand what it takes to create a customer experience worthy of your customers' loyalty, something that is near and dear to my heart. And for those of you who have been here once before, maybe twice, maybe a few more times, I want to say hello. Thank you so much for joining us again. And I could say us. Technically it's me. Ripley is down here somewhere, chilling out. I swear to God, I'm not religious, but if there's such thing as reincarnation, I'm coming back as a cavoodle. This dog has got the life. But yes, if you have joined us before, thanks for coming back for more good things, and welcome. And you will be the people who know that I love to talk about the joy of sex. And for those of you who are clicking on for the first time and wondering what the heck I'm talking about, you can see behind me, we are talking about the customer, employee, and human experience. All things separate create amazing things, but together, combined in business, they create a brand. So today we are going to be talking about what is the difference between a business and a brand, and how can we make that jump from being a business to creating a brand. So the most basic analogy of what a business is versus what a brand is when we talk about a business, what we're really talking about is the operations. We're talking about the product, the service, whatever it is that you commerce out to the ether, basically, right? It's the bones of the production. It's how you get your shit out there and what it is that you put out there. That's business, right? But when we start talking about turning a business into a brand, what we're starting to really work towards is not just creating a product, and even if you're a service provider, you're still creating a product. For example, my workshops, they are my products. My LinkedIn Lives, they are my product. So yes, I deliver a service, but I still also create products for people to consume. So if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I'm a consultant or I'm a financial planner, you still have products. You just need to, what we call in my MBA group, you need to play the reframe game and think about it a little bit differently. So when you start to consider how you can change your business into a brand, or not change, but transition people from thinking about you just as a business to having them consider you to be a brand. So if we were to think about some common brands, I'm sure if you're online, feel free to go type in, the first bunch of brands that come to mind. And I bet you we would all consider things like, or businesses such as Apple, Nike, sporting wear such as Adidas or Adidas if you are American. You know, Fila. What's another one? Camelback. If you're a or Camelback, sorry. Clearly, I'm not a hiker. I just remember my ex used to have one. I used to think, oh, that's cute. Esky. Esky is a great brand. It's actually become such a great brand that we now call everything that looks like an Esky, whether it's made by Willow or DeWalt. Yes, they make Eskies, or at least they did for a little bit. An Esky or a chili bin if you're a friend from New Zealand. And if you are watching from New Zealand, hi. I'm hoping to get over the ditch at some stage this year. That would be amazing. So if you're a business in New Zealand, make sure you come out, say hi. So you get the point. I mean, liquid paper is another amazing example of what a brand is. It's so synonymous with whiteout that now every brand of whiteout is called liquid paper, even though, the original business that created liquid paper quite likely never anticipated every other whiteout product in the future to also be called liquid paper after their product. But what they did was they no longer saw themselves just as a product producing, consuming, circle of, operations. They started to see themselves as something that needed to be given a legacy. And what starts to happen is when you think about becoming a brand, what you're actually doing is you're trying to work out what is it that I can do for the public to help them remember me? What image can I portray out to my audience to create an experience where they'll never forget working or using my products? So, Nike and all of those brands, what they do in their branding is they work so hard to make sure that they create an emotion for you, whether it is in their advertising, whether it is in their logos, whether it is in the tone of their communications, how they speak to you, what type of language do they use? Is it formal? Is it natural speak? Is it, fast and loose? Is it lingo? How do they communicate with you, their audience? Also indicates what type of emotions that you will feel when you hear that business's name. So really what you as a business will want to consider if you want to become a brand, and I tell you, once you become a brand, you actually are becoming what's known as a trusted brand. There are probably few brands off the top of my head that have not become trusted in the way they do things. Because to become a brand insinuates that you have implemented a number of activities into your business. And those activities, for starters, they are unique to you. So therefore, they're memorable. Foot Locker could be a good example. You go in and you get greeted by a cool looking, not quite adult, but not a teenager yet. What's that? It's a tween if you're a child, but someone close to being an adult, but they're still cool. And they talk to you like they are really interested in what you're doing athletically, and they might be. I hope they are. It could be a little bit ingenuine if they're not, but they sit down and they measure you and do all this funky stuff with your feet and the way you walk so that you can get the best shoe for your needs, right? And certainly if you go into Best and Less or Target or any other place that sells shoes, that is not the experience you get, right? Certainly not the experience. So therefore, what's starting to happen is they're creating a customer experience that is unique to them, right? And even if other businesses wanted to mirror what Foot Locker do, Foot Locker have then gone, you know what? Screw you, hippie. I'm going to innovate. And we're going to get even better technology than we had before. So, yeah, you can go and get the walking pads that test how people's feet lay down. But now we're going to get 3D modeling. So they're constantly finding ways to stay unique. They're constantly finding ways to innovate that customer experience, right? So therefore, what they're doing is they're separating themselves from just being thought of as another business, because now there's certainly no competition between my perception of Foot Locker versus my perception of getting a pair of running shoes from Kmart. They're completely worlds apart. Even, I wrote about Rebel Sport recently, but even Rebel Sport doesn't have that experience, right? So Foot Locker say, okay, we want to be known as a brand. We want to be trusted. We want to be the authority in providing a product that our customers know is specifically targeted for them and their use. So they create this unique customer experience. But then, as I mentioned before, they're very strategic about their employee experience as well. It is very clear when you walk into different Foot Lockers, which I've done in the past, that they are very similarly trained. They are always jovial, but they're happy and cheerful, and they come across like they really enjoy playing with people's feet all day. But it's not that they have to play with people's feet. What they're really interested in, and this comes down to how they potentially recruit as well, is that they recruit a type of person who is interested in the activities resulting to buying those shoes. So they recruit people who are athletic. They recruit people who are generally in a particular age bracket, who are active, who are aware of the sports and the activities that can be completed when you purchase a pair of shoes. They have the insight and the understanding and the training to help you understand why this running shoe is not as good for you as this running shoe, right? And then they back that up with the technology to support their knowledge. So what they're doing is now they've created this unique customer experience. I now differentiate them from every other competitor. Their employees have a very similar employee experience. And I've never met an unhappy Foot Locker person. So I hope that means that behind the scenes, there's also a level of employee experience that creates loyalty for them as well. Because if you've joined me before, we've talked about the fact that your employees are your first line advocates every time. We've talked about the fact that when they're at a barbecue, people 100% of the time, they might not say, hey, tell me about your latest shopping experience, but I bet you bottom dollar every single time you meet somebody, they'll say, hey, how's work? Won't they? So you want your employees to say what? Yeah, work's awesome. Love it. Love the customers, love the training, love everything about it. And that's not to say they're not allowed to have a bad day, but overall, your employee experience is an experience that creates loyalty for those internal customers, because that's what your team are. They're your internal customers. So we need to make sure that we're covering all our experience bases with them as well. Are we giving them what they value? Are we helping them develop? Are we showing them stability in their roles? Are we paying them enough? Are we helping make sure that they're putting food on the table? And if you say, well, that's not my job, actually, yeah, it is. Because if they're not getting enough from you, despite doing their job, they won't stay there very long. Because we don't leave jobs, we leave bosses. And if the boss doesn't value us more and more with every generation going, they are finding the kahunas to get up and leave. The old adage of staying in one job for 30 years is practically unheard of. Absolutely practically unheard of. I actually now probably don't know more than 5 people who've been in the same job for more than 30 years. So consider how your employee experience can elevate you from a business to a brand. So then the third aspect that we talk about when we're talking about the joy of sex and how it helps you create a trusted brand, a trusted value-driven brand, is that human aspect, right? So you can, in business, have all the machines in the world. You can have all of the artificial intelligence. You can have all the bots. Go for gold. But I don't care what your business is. If there is not an aspect of human experience in there, you will not be a brand. There is certainly room to improve the overall experience, to take yourself from being a business to a brand with the help and assistance of platforms and systems and bots and artificial intelligence and all those things. Absolutely, it can most certainly improve the overarching experience. It can certainly be the difference between a customer coming back or not. But you need to be strategic. Because as much as if we take Apple as an example, Apple is a technology business. But what is Apple's number one given when you walk into an Apple store or a Genius bar? What do you see? What do you feel? And if you're anything like me, and I don't do Apple, someone told me I needed to get a MacBook. I need to replace my laptop very soon. They said, get a MacBook. I went, over my dead body. No. Can't do the keyboard thing. I feel like a weirdo. Anyway, the reality is that even though I don't get serviced by Apple, I walk past those Apple stores and my heart flutters, because what I love is their commitment to putting humans on the front line. They, out of anybody, could have gone and sent hundreds of stores, thousands of stores around the world to be serviced by self-help machines of some description. You know, we have self-checkouts all over the shopping centres here in Australia. I'm sure they're worldwide these days. We have so many things that we're now expected to help ourselves to resolve, that you would consider that one of the biggest or the biggest tech business, consumer business in the world could have, if they wanted to, just done the same thing. You could have walked up to a self-help station, typed in what your problem was, put your product in a bag or make an appointment or whatever. There's so many other ways they could have done it, but they said, actually, no. We want you to come in and instantly feel satiated. We want you to come in and feel instant calm that you are going to be heard, seen, and taken care of in an instant. Unless it's Christmas, then you're screwed. Go line up. But they said, we want to give you the human experience. And I'm sure Mr. Jobs didn't sit there and necessarily say that. You know, he might have. We could be as smart as each other. Who knows? But they certainly understood the absolute necessity to creating that human experience rather than just continuing on and having the customers suffer through more and more artificial intelligence or more artificial assistance. Because I'll tell you what, after having to deal with Telstra for the last nearly 12 weeks, all I want as a customer of over 15 years is to have one person talk to me, hear me, help me, and fix my problem. And I can't even get that. So maybe if we talk about businesses that are considered to be brands that are having a negative impact, that might be one of them. But what a shame, because back in the 80s when it was telecom, they were one of Australia's biggest brands. They were there communicating and putting people together. Now, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's certainly not helping me. And if you look at their Twitter feed, I don't know, I just don't know. I just don't know. But I'm done. 15 years, I'm done. I'm leaving. I've left. Hopefully they don't hear this before my new connection gets put together. But that's what happens. As a consumer, I lose patience. And that's 15 years of patience. 15 years of paying premium rates to get nothing for the one time I need it. So you as a business need to consider, if you want to transition into a brand, what is the image that you want to portray to the public? How do you want to be remembered? What do you want people to say about you after they've been in your presence? If you Nike, hopefully you're inspired to start running, start being active. If you're Foot Locker, you're hoping that they're saying, oh my God, these are the best, most comfortable shoes I've ever put on my feet. It's like running on clouds. Those guys know exactly what they're doing. You know, if it's a CamelBak, I feel so thirsty. Oh, no, I don't now. Thank God I've got a CamelBak because there's no taps on this mountain. What do you want customers to say about you after they've been in your presence? I want customers to say, what the fuck just happened after they've been in mine. I want them to go away with their heads exploding in a good way. I want them to go, how do I get more of that? How does she know all this? How can I learn more? Right? And gee, she's so funny. Feel free to say that. That's fine. I'll allow it. But the reality is, that is what a brand is. It is how you make people feel. It is the emotions that come up when you think about a business or a brand. It is the level of trust within that brand that your customers give you. Do they trust what you do? Do they trust what they say, what you say? And if you go, oh, I don't know, good way to find out is if they're coming back for more. If they're coming back for more, then yes, they trust you. So it is your responsibility to do everything in your power to withhold that trust, to innovate, to keep working hard at those experiences that are going to keep your customers loyal, that are going to keep your employees loyal, and that are going to create human experiences so that after I leave your brand, I feel seen, I feel heard, and I feel supported. And I feel like I got more than I ever anticipated I was going to get. That is the difference between a business that just sells a product and a brand that makes me inspired to do more, to be better, to try harder, to get more back. Right? So in your examples, in your personal businesses, what can you do to start making the change? The first thing that you probably need to consider is, number one, your brand strategy. So you can feel free to hit me up. I can send you a template for a brand strategy. But otherwise, you can Google one as well. Maybe do a little bit of homework and make sure that it's covering off things like your business look and feel, or your brand look and feel, the way you speak to your customers, the tone, the pitch, the consistency, where, and as I've said before, meet your customers where they are. You know, in saying that, there's nothing wrong with trying different places. You know, for a period of time last year, I went to Twitch. I had a great time. I was the only English-speaking person on Twitch talking about business. And that was cool. But that's not where my customers were. Well, they kind of were, because they were in isolation and they were playing video games. And I thought I might try to get their attention. But it's really hard to go up against Call of Duty. So just saying. But generally meet them where they are. If your customers are online, then figure out what part of online they're at. And then add that to your brand strategy. Think about the language that you use. You know, if you already have watched this or have been a regular, consumer of the work that I do, you'll realize that I speak quite naturally, and that includes the occasional swear word. Am I going to apologize? No, because I like swearing. And actually, this is nothing. I probably tone it down because I'm online and I don't want LinkedIn to take my live access. Wait till I get really passionate about something and the camera's not on. And shit gets real. But I strategically have tried to be very formal. It didn't work yet at all. And at the end of the day, I can only be myself. But for you, your brand might be something that requires a little bit more formality. You know, it might be that your brand actually requires even more swearing. You know, I love the memes from what's it called? Fuckology, right? Their brand that people love is quite down there, lower than the average vocabulary, but it works for them and people love it. So find your audience, meet them where they are, figure out what you want to deliver to them so that they love what you do, and think of you less as just a business to consume and more of a brand that they can't freaking live without, right? So get your brand strategy sorted out. Once you've done your brand strategy, I want you to consider my favorite things. I want you to consider how you need to mold your customer, employee, and human experiences so that you can create a trusted, value-driven brand, not just a business, a trusted, value-driven brand using customer experience, employee experience, and human experiences so that you can create a brand that has experiences that is worthy of your customers' loyalty. And that, my friends, is how you turn a business into a brand, and you keep working on that. You deliver the joy of sex, and you will soon find yourself becoming a legacy. That is it from me today. I can't wait. I will be back here on Sunday, provided I still have internet access. Aussie Broadband, can't wait to become friends for another 15 years. I'm already impressed with their customer experience, so I appreciate you. If you have any questions in regards to what we talked about today, please feel free to hit me up in the comments. If you are interested in what a brand strategy document looks like, please also feel free to hit me up, and I will be happy to email you a copy of the brand strategy that I use for my businesses. And certainly, if any of this resonates with you, feel free to share it and tag people who might help or who might need that help from transitioning to a business, from a business to a brand. Don't forget, these are also all going to be available by the end of this week. They will be available on my website, valuedrivenbrand.com. And so therefore you can go back and watch all of the previous ones as well and hear all of the wonderful topics of sex that we discuss, amongst other things, from morning routines to planning to accountability. And if you think that there's something that you would like to know more about, feel free to get in touch, and I will be happy to talk through it. In the meantime, I'm going to go and write the next 1,000 words to my new book, The Joy of Sex. And now that you've watched this, you know what I'm talking about. But it has been an absolute pleasure, and I'm so glad to be back after some internet issues. And till next time, Sunday, I am Aileen Day. Have a wonderful rest of the week. Get out and deliver value to somebody else in your life, because what goes around comes around. See you later. Till next time.